Hello all, welcome to another video. This video's going to be about installing a B2B charger, DC to DC, battery to battery. It's not something I ever thought I was going to get. I thought I was going to get a split charge. Then I found out my van wasn't compatible with a split charge, so I thought I'd just go solar. Solar is doing really well actually. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning and it's already full charged, saying 14.5 volts in the battery. It's bringing in 43 volts from the roof. That's excellent. It is a nice day though, and in Britain you are to expect miserable sort of grey days where it might not be bringing in as much. I can't say how well it's going to perform, but what I do know is that some sort of charger or relay to keep your batteries topped up whilst driving is always going to be a bonus. And then solar is ideal for like when you're static and you're staying still on a campsite. So go drive down to Cornwall, your batteries are fully charged by the time you get there, and then you can park up and you've just got power coming in from solar, and if you need to, you can turn your engine on and get a bit of power that way as well. Now, I've been told these battery to batteries are really good for your batteries. I don't know whether that's just a sales pitch or what, because the difference in price is insane. I could have got a split charge relay for 30 odd quid, and this cost 150. Apparently it's supposed to be even more than that, and they were getting rid of them cheap, but yeah, apparently conditions your battery. I'm doing that because it just sounds stupid, but it apparently conditions your battery, and it charges it to an optimal sort of point, fully charged, and keeps it that way. And apparently it does it a lot faster. Apparently it's a lot faster than doing it with a split charge relay, because apparently this is an actual charger, whereas a split charge is actually a relay, which I'd like to tell you what a relay is, but I have no idea. So I bought this kit. It's called a Batt Ultra, and it's a battery to battery charger by Sterling. So that's what it looks like in the box, that's what it looks like in real life. Not the same colour on the bottom. The kit that I've bought took sort of 5-10 minutes to get ready for me. So we've got, now for any ordinary person they'd look at that, which is absolutely a layman's diagram, and they probably get it, but for me, I'm quite like a visual sort of kinesthetic-y kind of learner, and I quite like to be able to draw it out myself so that I can understand it. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. The first big problem I've got is, where do I put it? I never planned on having this, and I never planned on having two batteries. It's all been a kind of last minute bodge really with the placement of the batteries, and now I've got this, which is not small. I'm not quite sure where to put it. We look inside there, there's no room there. You might be thinking up here, but actually there's a shelf that's going here that's going to be used for like storage, and then we were going to use that for storage down there as well. I were thinking on this wall, obviously the screws will come through and they'll need grinding down, but I'm not 100% keen on having it there, to be honest with you. I think it might get played with. So I'm thinking I might have to put it on this back wall down there, so it's close to everything that I need it to be. It's close to the starter batteries and it's close to the leisure batteries. First thing I'm going to do is isolate solar panel. So let's get this solar panel turned off. So it's down here. And we're going to turn that off. Gone. I'll keep that in the sink so I don't lose it. Batteries are isolated, solar's isolated. Next thing I need to do, disconnect those grounds and negatives. Now I've got the leads off, I need to somehow take that out without reducing its wire too much, otherwise it won't reach, and I need to put it onto that instead. There we go, made a new positive and a new negative. Hopefully they reach. I know that one reaches, but this one, let's see. So yeah, I'll just put eyelets on it. It's the first job done, so you can just see that wire there. Connected it to that one, and then the one on the right to the one on the far left. This is the Sterling battery to battery charger, and it's the 30 amp version, this one. It says it there, 30 amp, current limiting. Green stripe version, which is the newer, like a newer version of it. So if you do find any instructions on the internet, make sure it's for this. And then we've got the front panel, and these look like it's just information, but actually this is it's like electronic, and it's like an electronic display. These are where the lights will light up and down there, so you can do your settings, and yeah. So looking at the instructions, what we need is actually under this cover. So there's two little tabs that you just press down there on both sides, and this lifts out. A setup, enter, and a select button. And then underneath here, we've got a setup, an enter, and a select button as well. This is where you would put the remote. We've got battery temperature sensor, volt sensor. We've got a remote battery sensor. We've got an ignition. This comes from your starter. This wire also comes from your vehicle starter battery, and then this one goes out to your leisure battery. Now, I've not seen any other videos on the internet of how to wire this up. I've seen somebody else explaining what it is and how it works and then showing it set up, but I've not seen anybody showing you how to actually wire it up. So for the layman, such as myself, it's something that I went straight on the internet to try and find, and I couldn't find any information about it other than, you know, what this box actually does. So what I do understand is that I don't need to use that because I don't have a remote. They're like 100 quid each. The ignition is an option. So the reason that you would use that would be if you wanted to make sure that this was off when your key was off, and it was on when your vehicle was turned on. 2 meters of positive and 2 meters of negative. So we've got some connectors, and then we've got some MIDI fuses and holders, and they've given us some sticky pads and some heat shrink and cable ties. This yellow wire, which we'll work out later on, and some plastic conduit for covering your wires for a good job. Now, I've got some like crimping tools. I've got some cutters, and I like to use that for the wire strippers as well. I prefer using them ones. Obviously you're going to need screwdrivers and spanners and whatnot as well. It also came with some terminal blocks, which I've now fitted. not filmed it, but I've just like placed the sterling roughly where I want it to be, and then I've kind of roughly marked out where how long the wires need to be as well. So it's all just a bit rough, but it'll do. Which is roughly there. One of these is going on it. Heat shrink. Make it a tiny bit longer.
No, I mean, some sexy and something, pour it up, so that can shut over there.
Positive, and there's a little terminal there I'm going to put it on, and the negative, we've got a little terminal there we're going to put it on. So we're going to put it on positive on that one, and then I'll put it on positive on that one, and then I'm going to do a negative on that one. So they'll all be connected in a row. Last but not least, we've got the remote voltage sensor and the temperature sensor, voltage temperature sensor. There you go. That top screw is a bit of a bugger because this is in the way, but I've managed to get it in and tight. So we've got two from the battery going, two from the battery temperature sensor go to the top, and then the remote voltage sensor goes on the third one down. My battery terminal, they've given me an M8, this one, but the terminal that I've got is M10, so I've only got M12s left. And I've had to cut that eyelet off and wrap it around. It's only a really thin wire, so I'm not too worried about it. I wasn't happy about doing it the way that I did. I thought it was very, very amateur. So what I've done is I've cut the end off, and luckily I had another M12, and I've threaded that wire into the collar with that and crimped it. So that should do the job. Morning. Today's another day, so I'm just going to finish installing this morning. So just to recap on what we did last night. We have the voltage sensor in the third one down, and then we have the battery temperature sensor in the top two. In here we've got a positive in, a negative to your starter battery, and then we've got a positive to your leisure battery. So following them down, this one is for negative, this one is for positive. We've got a fuse on the positive, a 40 amp MIDI fuse in the holder, and then on this positive that comes down and goes to the leisure battery, we've also got a 40 amp MIDI fuse, and then both of them have got eyelets, they've got ring terminals, heat shrunk and tidied up with conduit, not including the ignition, which I might add at a later date. Now we just need to install it. So I'm going to put mine on this wall down the back of there. I've heard people saying that the fans in these can be quite loud, like a hairdryer. I can't imagine it being that loud, but if it is, I might have to box it in at some point. But for now, that's the only place it's going to be going. I can't say I'm entirely sure how they thought this design would work with putting three wires next to each other there. It just bangs. They don't need to be anywhere near as big as they are. Maybe for that middle one, yeah, and the end ones, yeah, okay, fair enough. But those three coming out of that slot, that's ridiculous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it, see if it works, and if it works, I'm just going to cut a shape out of it. I know it won't look as professional, but I'm not undoing all my wires and adjusting that so that they fit into a hole. Okay, so this is it then. We've got our wires that are coming out of that we've already talked about. We've got the positive connected to the positive on the battery terminal. We've got the negative that goes to the negative, the battery terminal. They both go into there. Then we've got the positive out and the yellow wire going to the positive on the leisure battery. And then we've got the last wire going right over there to the negative at the other end. And then lastly, oh, I forgot to add as well that there is a negative that goes from the negative driver's battery to the negative of the first leisure battery, which is now over there. So I'll try and show you. So we've got this negative here going along, it goes down there, around the side. So there's not a lot of space to move in here. So we've got the negative that goes along, down the back, around, and then it connects there to the first leisure battery. That's the second leisure battery over there. So the only thing connected to that second leisure battery is the black wire. Let's see if it all works then. So I'll just turn this on. So I've just turned my power on there, my isolator switch, but I don't need to do that. So at the minute you can see there's no lights on under there. So if I put my key in, just make sure it's not in gear. So when it reaches a certain voltage, those lights should come on so that you can see they're still not on. So if I start my engine, so they're still not on. To get these lights on, it's got to be bringing in over a certain voltage for the system to like boot up. So if I rev the engine, it should start to come on. There we go. So that's kicked in now, turned itself on. And there you go. You can't see it very well, but you can see my lights are on 14.6 and 14.2. Which is not what I set it at, so I'm going to go back over and make sure that I've got all that set up right, but there's no red lights or orange lights, so that's okay. Thanks very much for visiting, thanks for viewing my video. If it's been any sort of help to you whatsoever, you've been successful in installing it yourself and you use this video, then by all means give me a bit of a shout out, let me know that you did it and let me know if you found it useful. That's another video over for me. If you're interested in any of these sorts of camper conversion videos done by the average Joe, such as myself, then by all means go onto my channel, have a look, there might be something in there of interest. Done stuff like installing this roof light, I've made the sides, insulating walls, and then I've done all the electrics. And the electrics for me, believe me, was a massive hurdle that I had to try and get my head around. And not quite there, but I've got my head around it far more than I were. And there are things that I do differently, but yeah, there are with everything, aren't they? And that's all part of learning. So yeah, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and I'll try my hardest to come up with more videos that you might find use.